What is happening, people? New week. Let's get into it. Friday, I ended up taking this sell in here. I did send that to most of the guys in Telegram. And I also sent that into the premium group as well. So last night with the premium group, we had a masterclass on just obviously last week's price action was really, really good. Lots to learn from that. So if you're not a part of that, make sure to join up. Then you've got the free Telegram, free Discord links below. But let's kind of get into this week. So I'll start with the higher time frame on EU. Now I've still got the same outlook as more or less last week. I still want to come take this 4-hour point. Now, only reason being is there's no liquidity build up in between where we are. But you have to also understand we're actually in between decisionals at the moment. Now, I don't love trading in between decisionals because it's exactly that. It's a decisional. We're in a 15-minute decisional here. I've got all my ranges, my 4-hour and my 15-minute bearish, but my daily is bullish. We are reacting from an area that makes sense to kind of manipulate. So sells and buys make sense. I still like this high time frame outlook. And to me, EU is actually the worst pair to trade at the moment as well. So makes it very, very interesting on EU, but I would like to come take this point and then sell off. I think that'll bring enough buyers into the market. As you can see, very, very slow retracement up at the moment. But we are bullish on that higher time frame, obviously with that break there. So it's a matter of if we've come enough into this range. We obviously had that inducement in the low, and then we've had a quick push. So we're getting really, really good bullish structure. So this would make sense. It's kind of that retracement to continue, but I think we're going to get something like that. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Lower time frame on the 15-minute. Like I said, I don't have a lot to work with. We are bearish from this 4-hour point. Like I said, it is a decisional. So for me, I just believe that there's a lot more that we can kind of do with this. It could actually be your extreme of your 4-hour, but we've got some imbalance and things up there that I kind of want to come take. So reading into that, we've obviously pulled down off of that. Really, really straight range. Now we've created no liquidity in the meantime. So I'm still using this inducement as an inducement, and I want to come and buy into this. We've got internal break and retest that sits here. We've got this break and retest, which is now done more or less a 2-leg to the downside and induced here. So I would like to continue to buy. But you just got to understand, like, we can sell through this. And given that we're sitting in this box and rectangle of price, it's very difficult to work with. So what I'm kind of seeing today is I'm going to look at the liquidity aspect of this to try and take a trade. First thing you've got is more or less the take of this high, then the take of this low and buy from that. I'm not going to look at that personally. I think it's too internal. I would rather make my focus GU or AU. So I'm open to previous day low, which I've got with my custom indicator here. And we've got equal 15-minute lows staying in this inducement. So the liquidity that sits here, I'm okay to take a buy off of. That'll build a lot here. First taking this high, and then we've got that internal break and retest to reach that final destination here. So that's kind of what I'm open to. I don't think this will present. The only way I'm open to it is if we get a trap reaction off of here, but I don't like it for a Monday, especially I'm pretty sure it's a bank holiday today. So I would rather take that 15-minute liquidity and then go from there, especially being the previous day low. There's lots of buys in here from there. So that's my outlook on EU today. GU on the 4-hour, we're still bearish in my eyes. This is a really, really good extreme of this internal range that I would like to come take. And that still lines up with last week's price action. So I still want to come take that. I've got my 15-minute that is actually bullish at the moment. So being that that's the case, I would like to follow with that momentum. We have also mitigated an area here, which makes sense to manipulate at. If we're going to retrace, this is the part we'll kind of push back up. Given that we've had such a slow reaction from this point, I want to come take it. I just think looking at how that works, I think it makes sense to come and take that high. So that's what I'm looking at coming into this week. On the 15-minute, like I said, I'm bullish. We're in this decisional now. We've taken the trap part of the decisional, and now we're sitting internally in here. So the problem with this is we're trading in with the decisional and we haven't reached the extreme yet. So I want to follow this decisional until it tells me that it's not the case. And until it gets there and does that, I'm gonna focus on buys. What we've kind of created here is we've got an internal break and retest off of the take of this retest here. So we've got an internal range in a smart money trap area being this break and retest. And now we're working our way down slowly. So once we come up and take this high here, I'm okay to actually buy. I don't want to buy off the Asian lows. I don't believe this is a good enough area to do that. And it's not enough liquidity in my... I mean, we've got a 30-minute point that I'm open to, but it's just such a large part of the range. It's 27 pips. I would rather come a little bit lower and kind of have that slow retracement to build up that liquidity. But this counts as a medium inducement given what it's done. It is Asia low, it is a medium inducement, so it is valid to buy. So I am open to taking a buy off here, but I would rather wait for that manipulation outside of Asia range into this area and then buy through more of a trend line. That's what I would rather have happen. You may also get that this is a valid trade to take given where we're coming from. I imagine this is a larger hourly point. Yep, so that's perfectly fine. Just for me, I'm going to be very specific with what I want to see. And if I'm going to take a buy anywhere in here, it needs to be off a trap reaction. From here, I'm happy to take more of a slow buy with structure rather than just a trap entry. And I don't mind this, but Asia high liquidity. I don't like working with Asia high and Asia low liquidity unless I get a mitigation, which is the one that we had Friday. So I'm not seeing a lot to work with here. We've got no supply to demands. There's none of that going on. It's just straight structure. This is a valid high, okay? Especially if this doesn't hold weight, it makes sense to sell through that. I just think we need to come higher up in this point. I don't think we've cleared enough of that point yet. So what I've got on my arrows is exactly kind of what I want to see. I'm open to trading either of these moves. Just know they're lower quality, and this one's kind of the one we want to wait for. So bank holiday, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's a Euro bank holiday. I'll have to look again after. But they're kind of the options. AU is one of the best pairs today. We've broken and retested on the 4 hour. We've now come in and taken that. And now I want to continue buying. And I think that's kind of the way to go with that. So I've got 2 arrows here. One of them's obviously on the 15-minute, and I want to follow that 15-minute one. So we've come to this point, which is the decisional. Like I said, with the decisional, I don't want to touch a decisional until we've come out of that. Once we've come out of it, we've got this break and retest that sits internally in here. I would actually like to come a little bit lower if we possibly can. Possibly come and take this internal 5-minute break and retest and come into this area here. We've got this kind of trend line sitting here. All of this is a valid point to more or less trade out of. I will be trading more on the liquidity aspect of this and build up. Coming down and taking this, we'll have really, really good decisional highs to target, which is equal highs. We'll also have previous high of day, and I'll be looking for a 50% Asia entry model to realistically come and trade to here, where the market will decide if we're going to go bearish for a little bit. So I don't really want to trade off the back of this. Once we trade off the back of this, I would say we've more or less confirmed what's going on. But once we trade here, I'm open to the sell of that. So yes, you can look to buy this, given that the liquidity that builds up will be a lot. But I just don't love that for a Monday. It is internal break and retest as well. So I guess you can look off the bottom of this. Like I said, just for a Monday. It's not something I'm interested in. I will look, but it's unlikely in my opinion. Now, on the 4 hour on the DXY, we're at literally like a stalemate. We didn't move at all last week. We literally opened here and closed in the same spot. I still think buys make sense, but I believe we've built up enough liquidity now that will come and manipulate it a bit longer, come further into this point, and then push through that, building that liquidity here. So I believe we're going to get a bit of a sell-off, and then we can obviously look to go through that. But just understand every time frame on this is bearish. Every single one. We just don't have a lot to work with, unfortunately. Clear inducement could be a break of structure. The DXY is so 50-50 and just isn't being a catalyst for the market moving, obviously. So that's what I'm looking for coming in today. For you guys in the premium, I'll see you live tomorrow. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. Got all the links below. Make sure to subscribe as well. And yeah, let's have ourselves a good week and go from there.